So what we could do here is bring Chrome up like this. Here's the website for the MDW HAlpha Sky Survey. This is a project that's being done by Dennis DeCicco, formerly of Sky and Telescope. You probably know of him, and Sean Walker, who still works for Sky and Telescope. It was originally started and envisioned by a guy named David Mittleman, Mittelman, who I talked to, I think it was 4 years and it might have been 3 years ago at the NEAF, Northeast Astronomy Forum in New York. What they did is put together two telescopes, and they put them down at New Mexico skies. Let's see here. Gallery. There's a picture here of the telescopes. I'll go back to these images in a minute. Background and equipment, that's where it is there. These two telescopes, wide field, Takahashi's, they run on ACP Scheduler, and they run all night, every night that the weather is decent, automatically starting up and taking images of the night sky. They're doing this survey in hydrogen alpha, and it should be amazing. They're going to take images of the entire night sky in HA. The two guys David is the guy on the right here. He has since passed away, and he donated the equipment and set up a foundation to continue this project until it's done. It probably will take 5 or 6 years. Every night that system goes out and takes images, 3 half-hour images of each field, and there are loads and loads of images. If you look here at the MDW survey, I have a link to one of the two telescopes, the scheduling database, the schedule browser, and there. This will come up in a sec. The reason it's taking a while is because it is very, very full. In a minute, we'll see it. Okay, here we go. This is just one of two telescopes. If you look, you'll see that I'm going to put my glasses on because I can't quite see here what I'm looking at. If you'll see the number of hours that are on each band, and there are all these bands. This is only one of the two telescopes. Each of them have 200 hours of imaging in each of these bands. If you go down and look at this, there is a lot of imaging going on. The stuff that's being worked on right now is in band 34. And you can see here, these ones that are blocked out have been completed and verified. The other ones that are thumbs up are still under review. The ones with the faces here are yet to be acquired. And that's also displayed on this grid. If we go down and look at this band 35 on the grid, band 34, sorry about that. You'll see the same thing here. These are all active, and they're the ones that are deferred. You can see here that it says deferred, and that means they're still yet to be acquired because right now they're not in position. And then all these ones here have been completed. So you can get an idea that this is a huge project, and they are really enjoying it. What happened over the last couple of days, I got a tech support ticket a couple of days ago, 3 days ago from Dennis, saying that they were being marked failed when they really weren't failed. And it turned out there's so much work in this thing that there was a synchronization problem with the database. I was able to find that and fix it yesterday, and then last night I changed the scheduler in one of the two systems, and last night's acquisitions went just perfect. I then went in today and changed the scheduler in the other one. It was a very, very simple little change in the scheduler. And so tonight I expect both of them to be operating 100% successful again, well, weather permitting. Anyway, this gives you an idea of what's going on down there. And as I say, it's quite an interesting and amazing project. Sean Walker does the data reduction and image checking. Dennis manages the observatory and keeps things going. And David is the guy who contributed the original equipment and everything. I will put in the video, after I'm done, when we post the video, I'll put a link to this website. But this is the entire night sky that these guys are imaging. This image right over here can kind of give you an idea. Here's where it was through mid-March. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I don't know. It won't get much bigger, I guess. But anyway, you'll get an idea of what's going on. Actually, in addition to what I did the last couple of days, the other change I made in the scheduler about a month ago was to add an option for project completion, and we're going to try that out after we get the issues that came up over the last couple of days squared away. We're going to try the project completion to see if we can get areas of the sky to complete first. So that'll be interesting as well. Okay. I guess me and Stevie are the only people here. Is there anybody else on? If not, well, I'll keep going because it's important for me to get across the next thing that I had planned on doing also tonight. Future videos I'll do by emailing all our whole customer base. So hopefully, there's Paul Lucas from Australia. Excellent. Okay, at least I have one person watching. That's excellent. Okay, Paul, hello from Australia. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was many years ago, one of the challenges that was given to ACP Scheduler, and now the ACP Expert Scheduler, was to do the entire Messier Marathon to see if it could make the decisions needed to do that. It turned out that it did, although it was a good test and caused me to make some changes to the decision process in there. So what I did is I recreated that test again this afternoon before the show, and what I have is the Messier Marathon in the browser here. There we go. Okay. What you can see here is the scheduler here is running. Whoop. I just lost my, there we go. The scheduler's running, and then as well, this is the ACP schedule browser for Expert here at this, in my system here. And here's the Messier Marathon project. What I have is everything else. These are all test projects that I've used for development work. Right here's the Messier Marathon. And you can see that all of the objects in the marathon are eligible and can be run. The conditions under which this have to be run is that I'm going to back this clock up a little bit and show you that when you're simulating, you can see right here it says simulate. When you're simulating, you can right-click on the clock and say next sunset time. Okay, so that puts it on 18th March this year at 2:22 UTC. That's the sunset time for this location. There are a few other adjustments or settings that you need to do, which includes setting the sundown altitude to 10 degrees. Now, that means that it's not quite dark, but if you go to the east, it is. And actually, in order to get the Messier Marathon completed, you have to start observing before it gets completely dark. So that's why this is set to that. And so when you do this, you basically tell it to simulate, turn the dispatcher on, and it will run the entire night. It takes about 3 minutes. What I'm going to do is, instead of doing that, because it's always a risk to run a demo, I just ran it this afternoon and got the log file here for the run. Here's the decision process that the scheduler made for that run when I did it. If you look here, it just bang. It started at just a little after 2 a.m. UTC time, and then it began to observe when the sun reached the minus 10 degrees at 2:12, and observed all through the night. All the way down to 13 hours UTC, when it said, okay, that's it. It's too light. Everything's shutting down, and shut the observatory down. The net result of this, and this is really what I wanted to show you, is that you can, if you use the ACP ships with ACP Expert ships with a run detail plotter. And when you shut the scheduler down after a simulation like this, it produces this thing called run detail. And you can't tell anything from doing that. But what you can do is start the run detail analyzer up. And then what that does is it allows you to load the run detail into the spreadsheet. You have to have Excel to do this. And I'm going to go to my smaller, there, okay. Once you load the run detail in, it gives you a coverage chart which shows you where the scheduler moved the telescope during the night to accomplish the entire Messier Marathon. And it did it. This shows that there were no targets skipped and no targets that were not eligible. This, you can see, this is the deck and over time. And then along the meridian, here's what it looks like for the telescope with regards to the meridian. As you can see, it started way west at a plus 5 hour angle. And here are all the objects that you can see it covering during the night. And as it went on and on and on, now it's right around the meridian. Now it went on ahead east and scooped up all the targets it could to the east, and then went back over to the west, back to the east, and then it worked in the east the rest of the night until the last target of M30. And it got every single one of them. Here's a look at how it worked in RA. And of course, during the night, the sidereal time gets later, so it works like this. You can see it had to reach way over at one point to get one of the targets, which I thought was kind of interesting. As far as deck is concerned, it's going north-south, north-south. You can see that. It goes all the way from minus 60 down to, plus 60 down to minus almost 30, and then back up. These are all decisions that the scheduler is making on its own. There's no timing, no guidance, no nothing. These are the decisions that are made by the scheduler by itself. So I thought it's pretty interesting to see what it does. And then the last thing, which is probably maybe the most interesting of them all, is the timing chart. What this represents is the time at which each of the targets were acquired. And you can see for a large part of the night, probably 2/3 of the night, it just went back to back to back to back to back. And then when it finally got out here, it had to wait a little while before it could get another one. And you can see these gaps in time. The very last one it got was M30. Let me turn this thing off. And that one is quite a bit to the, that's my, I don't know if you can hear that clicking sound. That's somebody trying to hammer on my ACP, which is running on this side here. You can probably watch them. Look at that click, 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 click. This is people surfing the internet trying to break into ACP, which they can't do. All right. So that's really what I wanted to show tonight is the scheduler accomplishing the entire Messier Marathon. And that kind of tells you how it's capable of handling what amounts to a complicated task of getting things done in a pretty decent amount of time. Okay, we are at 6:20. That's probably... Yes, Michael Cook, I see you there. Thank you for tuning in as well. Let's go back to me here. There we go. Okay. Do either you, Paul, or Michael have any questions, or is there something that you'd like to see in a future broadcast? I know this was my third experimental broadcast. All I did was post it at the top of the comm center, like right there. And I'm also getting used to being able to switch around like this. There we go. So you can see that my crazy icons and everything. That's how I did it. And if you didn't log into the comm center, you never would have known this is happening. I will do email in the future. I just thought I should do one more of these things because I'm not really, really good at operating this studio software and scrolling around and doing things. But I think this one went pretty good. Hopefully you guys will get on the comm center and give me some feedback on how this went. Here's the thread on that, and then feel free to put things on the end of this thread and tell me what you think you'd like to see me do, or that I did a crummy job doing something or whatever. So this is where to do it. It's a wide open thread. I'd really appreciate the inputs. I have a pretty big list of things that I'd like to show. I thought I'd do some low risk things here, and it's a little bit of a learning process for me to do this stuff on the fly and also operate all of the video stuff here. So the lighting, here, let me take these glasses off. I know you see a big reflection. I have to somehow manage that also. My contacts aren't quite good enough for me to see the screen close up. All right, and thank you, Paul. Yeah, I know people, somebody saw my test thing this afternoon where I was trying to figure out what my chat URL is, which is a big flaw with this. Every time you do a new live broadcast, the chat URL, which is what you have to put into the broadcasting software to get the chat scroller on the right, it changes. So the only way you can find out what to put in there is to go live, and then the only way you can change is to change to a screen that has the chat thing. So, and I have 3 different screens with 3 different chat things in it, so it's really kind of a pain. I'm going to maybe change that too. It's a learning process. So I won't bore you with my issues. Thank you again, Michael and Paul and Stevie. Thank you for tuning in. And hopefully in the future, somebody will see this video and learn something about both the MDW HAlpha Sky Survey and the ability of ACP Expert to be able to do the entire Messier Marathon in one night without any input from a human. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll see you again another time.